Hi guys, I'm Katie and welcome to the very first episode of Spoiler Alert. Today I'm going to talk to you about Asylum by Ambrose Ibsen, one of my very favorite books. This book, it's a ghost story and it's such a classic ghost story. I love it. It's very well written. And the main character's name is Stephen Barlow. Stephen Barlow is a university professor and he starts a club with a student, Elizabeth Morrissey, and her boyfriend Jake, and they call it the More Like Spiritual Society. They talk about ghosts. And their very first field trip, they end up going to an insane asylum called Chath Asylum, where 28 years prior, a high-risk patient has escaped from the insane asylum and escaped from a room in the insane asylum, and in the institute, she killed 3 staff and 2 patients or something like that. It was 5 people. And right as she's about to escape the building, someone kills her. They bludgeoned her over the head and she died. So Stephen Barlow takes his 2 students into this insane asylum. And at first, everything's pretty spooky, but nothing seems to be happening. They check out different rooms and everything seems to be fine. Well, as the tour guide is taking them up to the ward 3, where the incident happened, or at least where it started, Elizabeth goes missing. So they all split up, because that's such a great idea, and go looking for Elizabeth in this massive insane asylum that's been closed for 28 years. So it's all gross and wet and falling apart. Well, Stephen Barlow and the boyfriend Jake, they start experiencing this weird stuff, right? So they're in the basement, and the empty morgue in the basement of the insane asylum, they see some wet footprints leading them to the morgue. So they go to the morgue and they just start hearing pa 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 on the inside of the coolers for the deceased, obviously, which have been empty for 28 years. That doesn't make sense. So they go running for their lives like any sane person would. And when they get to when they finally find a door, they find a door going down. So there's supposedly this hidden sub-basement, and it's pitch black down there. Down there they find Elizabeth Morrissey, and they see this ghost. It looks like a patient in a patient's gown with black hair matted over the face, and it starts chasing them with a meat cleaver. So they escape, and it takes them forever to find their way out of the basement. When they do, they go up a single flight of stairs and somehow find themselves in the 3rd ward, which is supposedly on the 2nd floor. When they get there, they are chased by the ghost wielding a meat cleaver. The ghost chases them through the building. They come across some dead bodies, which they assume are the dead bodies of the victims of this 3rd ward incident that had happened 28 years prior. And Stephen Barlow says that he thinks that the 28th anniversary of the 3rd ward incident is replaying over and over again. So they are chased by this meat cleaver wielding ghost out into the lobby where there's glass doors because it's a lobby. So they break out of the insane asylum, and as they get out of the glass doors, they turn around, the ghost follows them. No one knows what happened to the ghost. It just evaporates into thin air. And obviously the 3 of them are just terrified, right? So Elizabeth Morrissey and her boyfriend are yeah, we don't want any more of this. We're just gonna call it quits. But Stephen Barlow's we let something out. Also, I'm super curious what's going on here. So he starts digging. Turns out that there was a doctor by the name of Dr. Corvine who had been running experiments on the patients there, and that had driven the patient, Enid, that had driven her crazy and why she escaped. Well, turns out that he had been giving Enid drugs that induces fear of the dark and tying her down in sensory deprivation scenarios in that sub-basement, where she was possessed by what he refers to as the occupant. They know nothing about this occupant or where Dr. Corvine went after the Third Ward incident, only that the occupant has escaped and that Dr. Corvine disappeared along with all of his patient notes. That's where the first book ends. If you want to hear more about the second book of the series, stick around for episode 2 of Spoiler Alert. That's coming soon. If you have any books you'd like to hear me talk about, please leave it in the comments section of this video. Go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment on books that you want to hear.